in this pursuit. They are comfortable with the airship tracking it at this point, but
they're the ones that are actively behind it, but you have so many other agencies that will so quickly jump in and help if they need to. As we continue our coverage here on CBS LA on KCAL 9, wrong way as we're making a U-turn here. We're going to take a pause here in just a second and bring in our viewers on CBS LA Channel 2 right as we hit the Gore point.
Right now at 11, we have breaking news. SkyCal is over a pursuit of a robbery suspect, Desmond Shaw, live in SkyCal. Boy, this was a close one, Des.
Yeah, that was a very weird maneuver. I don't know if the suspect wasn't paying attention or just lost control of the vehicle, but he definitely went up on the curb and kind of quickly as well. You know, with a heavy vehicle like this, could be enough, depending on the quality of the tires, enough to, you know, pop one of them. Let's see a little kind of do-si-do maneuver here back onto Arrow Highway. So you see all the units now that are involved in this one. And yeah, they're kind of trailing back there, wondering if, you know, they're thinking of a pit maneuver or something. There are a lot of units now all of a sudden that are in the fray, but a little too difficult right now at units now all of a sudden that are in the fray, but a little too difficult right now at these speeds. But yeah, the suspect's been blowing through lights, taking chances, up on the curb there briefly, almost lost control. Second pursuit of the night. We've been on surface streets the whole time. We have been on this one. Pat Rudabay, Mike.
Yeah, but we're back in the Baldwin Park area, which is where the other pursuit was. You know, interesting, guys, when we hear them talk about possibly a pit maneuver or something to stop this vehicle, but we also heard reports that this person was brandishing a weapon, or possibly brandishing a weapon. Yeah. There was a shooting involved. So they, given that, they would be a little bit more careful.
A little bit more hesitant to do any kind of maneuvers that are going to position them in front of him, right? They don't want to face this guy if they potentially have a weapon. The other issue is here, too, as we go through this light, at least it was green, but the other issue is that we're in a pickup truck. Pickup trucks are a little bit easier to roll when you have a pit maneuver type situation, so we'll see. These smaller agencies, too, you know, we'll have to see what kind of tools they have to be able to get out ahead of this guy to try to stop it. You know, CHP had originally been requested here, but again, he got off the freeway, and then CHP didn't want to take it anymore. I do still hear them listening. They are still actively aware that this chase is going on. The sheriff's helicopter doing a good job of trying to help them out. It's the same sheriff's helicopter, by the way, that was over our other pursuit. Then they relinquished it to the fixed-wing aircraft from CHP, and then came and joined this one. And now it looks like that same CHP fixed-wing is coming back to keep eyes on this. Lots of people around here. Look at the video on the right side of your screen. This is from just a bit ago when we were coming through the San Gabriel Valley at Arrow Highway there on Aon Avenue, just as those units were trying to get into place. And I think this is going to be the video where he hits that curb or makes that close call with somebody as we come through here. Yeah, here's that ground unit that's behind him. And then he tries, excuse me, briefly wrong way for a second. Makes the U-turn. This was just before we came on the air for our viewers on Channel 2. Makes the U-turn, comes up, and nearly hits the median or the dirt patch there, the Gore point almost, and then continues on. Just almost like he's not paying attention.
Yeah, and swerving, too. We saw him swerving a little bit a while ago, and he's flying over those speed bumps. It just doesn't seem stable. Now in a parking lot?
Back out. Yeah, and then back out. Look at the unit, they're closing in. Like maybe, yeah, it really looked like they maybe wanted to take a chance there at a pit maneuver. But yeah, there's the Gold Line tracks right there. I believe that we're crossing over into another smaller neighborhood. Kind of aimless, but I did hear the helicopter overhead say that he seems to kind of generally be circling the same neighborhood. So, you know, we're into the alleyway now, kind of romping there into, yeah, rough pavement there in this alley. Let's see where this alley is going to dump him out and out onto another street here. Looks like they are going to go through. They are still right behind the suspect here, but, you know, at least we're at a pretty late juncture in the evening where hopefully there's not going to be too much cross traffic. Most people are starting to think about their weekend plans as they get tucked into bed. But back out on the Los Angeles street, we were on this street once before earlier, so yeah, kind of hanging around the same area so far.
You know, I heard Mike mention that the CHP fixed wing was coming back, which is interesting because CHP is not following this guy right now.
They're not.
Not on the ground.
No, going out again.
Yeah, no, they're not, Pat, but they have been asked to be apprised of the situation. And so what I'm listening to is kind of this struggle because, excuse me, the sheriff's helicopter is back on Baldwin Park's frequency, so they're not giving updates to CHP Communications Center about where this is at. So I think CHP just kind of wants the situational awareness of this is a guy that's wanted for some pretty serious crimes. If he gets on the freeway, we want to be able to be there and be quickly there. So they've got the fixed wing overhead, so the fixed wing can call out so that the units on the ground can focus on what they're doing. So close. It looks like this patrol officer really wants to take the bite and do the pit. Oh, here we go. Just as he gets that speed.
So many cars on the other side.
Yeah.
Right?
And he just, you know, that threshold that they like to keep it at is about 30, 35 miles an hour. And we were just at the top end of that. And then maybe the truck driver knew that that was happening because, you know, he picked up speeds about 60, 65 miles an hour here, which is obviously a little bit too fast to do the pit maneuver.
And, you know, it is late at night and there aren't a lot of people out, but there are some people out. We have seen him, you know, nearly miss several cars and then doing these U-turns constantly, going into driveways and parking lots and pulling out the other side, flying over speed bumps, swerving through lanes, going through lights. So it is really dangerous. It just takes one person to be in the wrong place at the wrong time for something really horrible to happen.
Yeah, and those are all those risk versus reward that the officers on the ground there are trying to weigh out. The sergeant, certainly, that is in control of the situation. You see the BP on the top of that patrol car. That is still Baldwin Park police that are in pursuit of this. They've kept it the entire time. What we don't know, and we're trying to figure out, Baldwin...
Ooh. What was that?
Weird maneuver there. Maybe try to kind of shake the officer or make him uncomfortable. It definitely seems that he is, you know, aware of the fact that this unit kind of looks like he's setting up to try something like this, but he's been making so many turns into these neighborhoods. You feel like he's going to run out of luck and go in, you know, into a dead-end street here. There's a cul-de-sac that direction. Let's see if this comes out somewhere else. But down into this residential street, will they do a pit maneuver here?
He really wants it.
Not likely, but again, they really want it. You can just almost like salivating to get this one over with here. But just, you know, really tough, precise operation when you have a suspect kind of, you know, tapping the brakes, brake checking you, and making sudden turns like this. Circling around once again. I mean, but you see, so we've got at least 3, 4, one other trailing back there. Quite a few units are involved in this one, and sticking kind of to, you know, half commercial corridors, half residential streets, I would say. At this point, and despite that maneuver earlier that kind of jeopardized his tire, so far it looks like all 4 tires are still intact here.
You know, a lot of these streets and even alleyways are really narrow. They have cars on both sides parked. But it almost makes you wonder if he knows the area. He's trying to stay in this area because he knows it or something.
Well, that makes it more difficult to do the pit maneuver, right, when you've got cars on the other side.
And now what's interesting, too, is I was just listening, CHP is offering up help. Excuse me, they're offering up help in the way of a spike strip. So they've got communications asking Baldwin Park, hey, do you want us to come help with a spike strip? And we can try to set something up. You know, CHP doesn't like to do the mixed chasing where they're both chasing.
Right, they'd rather take over.
Yeah, they'd rather take over or not be involved at all. But we have seen situations, and that sounds like what they're offering up right now is like, hey, can we go toss a spike strip for you and at least help you out in that way? So it seems like everyone's got a pretty, you know, concentrated effort on trying to get this guy to be done with this off the streets, whether it be a spike strip, a pit maneuver, or, you know, the best situation would be the guy just gives up. But
and let's remember why we were on this pursuit, not just obviously because they were chasing this guy, but the wants behind why. Pretty dangerous, and I would think, you know, you would want to get somebody like this into custody if they possibly brandished a weapon at someone or committed a burglary, a shooting occurred.
Yeah, there was a whole list of things that were kind of rattled off when they were giving out the want in this. And it's very possible that all of them are connected to one incident, but we don't know that to be sure. Baldwin Park is the agency that's...
Whoa! What was that?
Look at that. He almost kind of self-pitted himself right there.
Wow.
Spinning back around again.
Whoa.
He just took the other vehicle. Look at that. Look at that tire. That tire is down to the rim now.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. So, okay. So maybe that's weird because I didn't think that was the tire that made any contact with that curb earlier, but he's down a tire now for sure. That was very weird. It almost looked like a 5-second, sideshow, one of those street takeovers that we see right there, the way that he spun around. That it could have ended in a bad crash for the officers, but it looks like he definitely traded paint with one or two of those vehicles coming back around, and the desperation continues, and definitely looks like he's down, to one down one tire here. Let's see how that's going to affect the. And you can definitely see here as we try to get a better view there. I don't think he has any rubber. Maybe just a little bit left on that rear passenger side tire. And I believe this is. Well, I'm not positive this is a front wheel drive or rear wheel drive, but regardless, it's definitely going to make this vehicle a lot tougher to drive.
Well, especially the way he's been driving with all these U-turns and these sharp turns. We're seeing it replay there on the right side of the screen. Pretty unbelievable. I haven't seen anything like that in quite some time. Have you, Des?
No, I mean, the way, I don't know what he was thinking. I mean, he's taken so many of these turns in such an odd way. And like Mike was saying earlier, it almost just kind of seems like the suspect is, half paying attention to his surroundings there. And if the tire was starting to go out before that or what, it's not clear, but it definitely looks like that was, the tire kind of waved the white flag after that weird spin around. He ended up spinning around twice there and bumping into both of those vehicles. So, that would technically be what they call assault with a deadly weapon on a peace officer as well. Mm-hmm. Just, adding to the charges. And, these smaller agencies tend to be on the much more aggressive side anyway. And because this is, it sounds like pretty serious what they want this suspect for. And, even after losing it, they were able to reacquire it. This is one of those pursuits that they're going to want to take until the very end to do anything they can to make sure that this suspect doesn't get away.
Yeah, and he's going to have to slow down at some point. I mean, I'm expecting to see sparks coming from underneath that truck with the way that rim is right on the concrete. There doesn't seem to be any rubber left, and you can see there's damage in the cap for sure.
He's going fast on these residential streets still.
Yeah, it's really just ridiculous here, and it's going to be tough to take these turns at these higher speeds. And yeah, you saw the damage there to the rear wheel well on the passenger side. He's down on the driver's side, then he's down the passenger side rear tire on top of that. So this poor truck is really starting to take a beating here, but just continuing to hang around this neighborhood. And is he just kind of running out the clock like we see with some of these suspects? More sparks starting to come out there. But some of these guys, they just want to and stopping the vehicle, and well, he's got the door open. You better stop the car. Okay, he's leaving the vehicle in. Okay, the vehicle's going to end up bumping into something else, but the officers are right there. Let's see how much juice this guy has. If they can get him down, they really hope that they get him down before he can hop that fence. They got him. They got him. They yanked him down. They almost yanked his pants down too. Fantastic takedown there by the authorities. So he is down. They've got 4 officers there trying to subdue him and get him in handcuffs there. While he's on the ground, let's just see if we can zoom in and see what happened to that truck. If it just, unfortunately, it continued. And that's going to be very annoying for these people that are, probably asleep right now. Are going to have kind of an insurance nightmare to deal with. But at least the danger to the public is over. Someone who may have even been armed and dangerous and was driving like a maniac. Several officers subduing him. A fruitless effort to try to evade the authorities here in the San Gabriel Valley.
And almost losing his pants in the process. That's got to be pretty embarrassing.
Oh, Des, go back to the mailbox. Look he's putting a gun in it. That's what they just said. He put a gun in the mailbox when he came around. That's why I was like wondering what the deal was with the mailbox. But they said he shoved a gun in there as he was coming through. Oh, they're going to clear the car.
I mean, that just makes it all the more scary for those officers who were going after him, not knowing if he was holding the gun, could have used it on them.
Yeah. They must not have, but they had reports that this person was brandishing and that he was involved in a shooting. But as you say, some agencies, and this is a smaller agency, they could be way more aggressive.
For sure, their policies are a little bit more hands-on at times, and especially in their CHP rolling up. But especially now that they know that he put a gun in the mailbox there. So thankful that they got that. Video on the right side of your screen here is going to be the replay. You'll see the gun or he's going to put it in the mailbox as soon as he, as we advance the video forward here. You see him go for it. Yeah, I don't see a gun. And Mike's right, our director, I don't see a gun, but they said he put it in the mailbox. So I don't know if he took it out from his waistband right there and was able to shove it up really quickly, or what the situation was. But they said there was a gun in the waistband as they're bringing him back to the patrol car now.
Wow, that was really something.
Well, as we said, after all of that, with the damage to the truck, to the wheel,
a tree,
and now and someone else's vehicle,
the mailbox,
with the mailbox. This was, you know, one for the books, I would say. Not as perilous as some we have seen, but still, that last maneuver, trying to get over the fence and, you know, giving us all a moonshot.
Yeah. And they did just give the code 4, nobody else in the truck.
All right. Well, Des, you've been busy tonight, that's for sure. Are we going to get off?